Mr. Speaker, today, after decades of noble struggle and sacrifice, pro-life Americans are hopeful that government-sanctioned violence against children and the exploitation of women by abortion may be nearing an end. Although in a very real way, the struggle to defend innocent human life now enters a critically important new phase. Because of the Dobbs case, because the Supreme Court has finally seemingly accepted a relook at Roe versus Wade and subsequent decisions, the federal government and the states may soon have new authority to protect the weakest and the most vulnerable among us. Protection for unborn children is at a tipping point. In 2022, the Supreme Court can begin dismantling the culture of death that it has imposed on America. For decades, right up to this very moment, abortion supporters have gone through extraordinary lengths to ignore, to trivialize, and cover up the battered baby victim. With stolid resolve, they defend the indefensible. Why does dismembering a child with sharp knives, pulverizing a child with powerful suction devices, or chemically poisoning a baby with any number of toxic chemicals and one method euphemistically called medical abortion, why does all of this fail to elicit so much as a scintilla of empathy, mercy, or compassion from the so-called pro-choice crowd? Have the physical and emotional consequences of women been underreported? You bet they have. I've been in the pro-life movement for almost 50 years, and both my wife Marie and I do work with a lot of women who have had abortions, and they tell us stories of agony that has been, again, just like the fact of the unborn child's worth and dignity, have been trivialized by the other side of this issue. Why are children born alive during some of the late-term abortions not given the same standard of care and respect as premature infants born at that very same age? They are left to die, or they are just killed after they are born. President Biden understands the gruesome reality of abortion and this injustice, or at least he once did. As Senator Biden wrote to constituents explaining his support for the Hyde Amendment, for example, prohibiting taxpayer funding for elective abortions, he said it would, quote, this is his words, protect both the woman and her unborn child. He stated at the time, I have consistently, on no fewer than 50 occasions, voted against federal funding of abortions. Those of us who are opposed to abortion, he went on, should not be compelled to pay for them. Today, the president has weaponized the entire federal bureaucracy to aggressively promote abortion on demand at home and overseas, including a full-court press to force taxpayers to fund abortion on demand, including the repeal of the Hyde Amendment. Last September, the House passed a bill, the Abortion on Demand Act. Of course, it had a different name that just cloaked the misery that it would impose. And that bill would not only codify late-term abortions, it would also nullify nearly every modest pro-life restriction ever enacted by the states, including women's right to know laws in 35 states, parental involvement statutes in 37 states, pain-capable unborn child protection laws in 19 states, sex selection abortion bans in almost a dozen states, and waiting periods in 26 states. By his words and his deeds, the president has become the abortion president. And I think he wants to own that. But this all comes, Mr. Speaker, at a time when ultrasound imaging has made unborn babies more visible with a greater clarity than ever before. And when breakthroughs research has now found that unborn children can feel pain at 15 weeks gestational age and maybe earlier. Today, modern medicine treats an ever-increasing number of unborn children with disability and disease as patients in need of diagnosis and life-enhancing treatments before birth. Unborn babies are society's youngest patients and deserve protection, not death by abortion. Science informs us that birth is merely an event, albeit a very important one, in the life of a child. It's not the beginning of his or her life. And, you know, as most people know, after the ultrasound, the grandparents, the parents, the friends, they get pictures of the child in utero, the ultrasound pictures. They're the first baby pictures that are now plastered on all of our refrigerators in great expectation for that event called birth. The right to life is the first human right, and it must be guaranteed to everyone, regardless of race, age, sex, disability, stage of development, or condition of dependency. Life is not just for the planned, the privileged, or the perfect. We need to protect these innocent children. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I do yield back the balance of our time.